Hello and welcome back to the band Histories. This time we're looking at the remastered versions of the original 3 comic series. When Alien 3 came along in 1992 and killed Ripley, Hicks and Newt, Dark Horse's best laid plans, under Fox's guidance no less, were rent asunder. Bantam Spectra produced novelisations of the original comics in 1992 and 93 by Steve Perry, co-writing The Female War with his daughter Danelle, reworking them to fit in with Alien 3. Characters were renamed and certain events changed. The character names were reused in the comic revisions released in 1996. Throughout, Hicks is renamed Wilks and Newt is renamed Billie. Some other names are changed from the original comics while others remain the same. Newt's friends Carly and Mag stay as Billie's friends Carly and Mag. The first change comes fairly early on where Hicks's squad names are changed. Well, some of them are changed. Hudson is changed to Quinn, Crow is changed to Jasper, and Dietrich becomes Ellis. However, Frost, Drake and Vasquez are still the same. Later references to the planet Acheron are changed to Rim, and the mention of Ripley is removed, simply leaving it as a civilian woman. Later, Wilks remembers Drake and Vasquez and that ass Quinn. The new names are taken from the Perry novel, though in that, Jasper is black and Ellis is male. Next up is an odd change where we're introduced to Wilks' Marine unit, and Butler, who will become a major player, is renamed Beulah, which kind of wrecks this joke from Blake. Blake and Easley are the same from the original series. Billie's name is given a bit of an explanation, quite cleverly if I'm honest, when one of the doctors naming Rebecca is changed to Wilhelmina. Oddly though, Dr. Bannon is changed to Dr. Hannah. When Wilks rescues Billie using some equipment developed after the World Trade Center smoked in 24, a reference to Sergeant Apone is left as is from the original comic. Some other odd changes pop up in the third issue. A patient originally named Heerman is changed to Gonzalez, apart from the original year's omnibus reissued by Marvel, which kept the original Newt and Hicks names, but also used the not original colorised version, and here, in what is surely an oversight, changes one panel that should be Heerman to Gonzalez. A discussion at Bio National mentions Major Quan in the original, changes it to Major Lin in the remaster, as well as giving the full name Quan Chu Lin in the next speech bubble. Again, this is carried over to the Marvel reissue. One of the Binational technicians has his name changed from Biner to Driner. The Gonzalez, Quan and Driner changes are in line with the novelisation. Back on the Benedict, a joke by Easley, spelled differently to the earlier Easley, probably a typo, is now attributed to Beulah, which is then changed back to Butler in the Marvel version. A Marine, an android with red blood apparently, who is murdered changes from Benson in the original to Easley, back to the original spelling, in the remaster. A character we see later that was originally named Easley is now changed to Ramirez. And later again, another Marine named Mika has her name changed to Jones. One of the Binational suits, referred to as Horner at one point, is now Rain, matching the novel. Also matching the novels is the technician who helps the cult leader Salvage. His name of Maris in the original comic is now Pindar. Moving on to issue 6 is an amazing coincidence where both Newt and Billie's dad is called Russ. Billie's mum's name is changed, however, from Anne to Sarah. And that's about it for the changes for Outbreak. Haven't mentioned the colorisation, but I think I called it a travesty in the original video about book 1. Might be a bit over the top. It's not that bad, but it's not good either. Black and white is perfect for this series and sets it apart. Unfortunately, while thankfully restoring the original story, Marvel chose the colorised version for the original year's omnibus. Book 2, rechristened Nightmare Asylum, has very few name changes beyond the obligatory Wilks, Billie and Beulah, what with it being a smaller scale story with less characters. One big change, however, is the lettering. The original was lettered by Bob Pinahar and David Jackson, but the remastered version was done by Willie Schubert. Issue 2 has some minor changes where the Marine Renus tells Goins to get the door, which is changed to Peterson in the newer edition, while North, the female member of the group, is changed to Magruder. These names reflect changes made in the novelisation, though all 3 in the novel are male. A reference to the Sulaco was removed a short time later, and Wilks now appears to be a sergeant, and for some reason Dr. Fowler in the original version is now Dr. Powell. Only Powell is a lieutenant, and not a doctor, at least originally. Now he's a major. Due to an odd number of pages in the original, Dennis Beauvais produced a nice new full-page piece of General Spears admiring an alien in a tank for the updated version. In regards to the survivors Newt/Billie watches transmitting from Earth, Amy's father becomes Uncle Bert. The final change for Nightmare Asylum is Billie's reaction to Ripley. insofar as Billie even recognising her, since they've never met, nor would Billie have the faintest idea who this woman carrying a big honking gun is anyway. Such are the limitations of the medium and the changes to the storyline with Alien 3. The course could be corrected somewhat with changing Hicks and Newt. Changing Ripley is a whole another story, which is called Earth War, now renamed Female War in line with the novelisation. It opens with someone talking in the third person about LV-426, Newt, the aliens, Ripley and Hicks. Since Ripley appeared in the last issue of the previous series, so far, so continuity, even if it's all from Newt's perspective. It's not really third person, it's just Newt talking about herself in the third person. By tweaking and recolouring the text boxes in the remaster, it's Ripley talking about Newt. And to be honest, it's a neat little edit. Then 2 pages that are specifically about the adult Newt and her relationship with Ripley, now rather fractious at best, are cut entirely, because they won't work with simply changing the name to Billie. There's a barely noticeable shift in referencing of Newt in the third person to the second person, and the story continues with Ripley being woken up on the way back to Earth after the second film. And something else becomes apparent. The remaster has been recoloured, and it's actually a pretty decent improvement. A lot of the colouring on the original was, to be kind, garish and out of place. Things are a bit more toned down here and it works a lot better. There's also more consistency from panel to panel. Not sure what original colourist Monica Livingston thought, but whoever redid it was just credited as Dark Horse Digital. Mon got the last laugh though, when the original colours were restored for the Marvel re-release. Letters were shared between Jim Massara and Pat Brosseau in the original run, but the remaster only credits Brosseau. Curiously, some of Hankison's dialogue was cut here, which probably didn't need to be, given the context. And later some of Ripley's narration captions are moved around, then speech bubbles moved around too, and one narration caption is removed entirely, with a gap left where it was. Narratively, we start having problems at the end of issue 1. Originally, Ripley is narrating to Newt, who is in the room with her. In the remaster, she's still talking to Newt, despite Newt now being Billie. Considering the other tweaks so far, I don't think it would have been difficult to reword this by removing the you and left it as, I couldn't stop thinking of Newt. Not long after, they do just that, when Wilks says, I've had enough of suicide missions, instead of the original, I've had enough of your suicide missions, which never made sense anyway. However, while that continuity glitch is corrected, the bearded man broadcasting from Earth, who was changed from Daddy to Uncle Bert in the Nightmare Asylum remaster, is now Daddy again, or Ben, as Paul calls him. References to Acheron are removed from Female War, however there's a bit of a howler when Wilks looks at the final report of his mission. The artwork changes Sulaco to Kent, then Wilks calls it Sulaco. Then the name Hicks is left unchanged on Wilks' shirt later on. There's some potentially problematic recolouring here. A continuity error here about the other space jockey is effectively perpetuated in the remaster. The other spoke to Newt/Billie on the alien homeworld in Book 1, not Acheron or Rim. And that's pretty much that. The novel by the Perrys departs significantly from the Earth War comics by fleshing out more characters, delving more into the dream aspect, and rewriting Ripley as an advanced android without any of the background between Aliens and now. It's a major revision of the Earth War storyline rather than just substituting names. Without the benefit of major revisions, the comic isn't able to explain why Ripley is still alive despite dying on Fiorina 15 years earlier, and thus makes no attempt. Which, for mine, has always been a problem with the remasters. Going to all the effort of changing Hicks and Newt to Wilks and Billie, but being unable to address the Ripley conundrum, makes the whole exercise a little bit pointless.